going on, guys? So we got another one here today, going over the trades for today. Um, Another good day. I had to end up like resetting my account at some point last week because it was doing some weird stuff with the trades. But another good day. Won every trade today. You're going to see one loss on here because I did some weird thing with my trade where it bought. So I was trying to cover a short, and for some reason it didn't cover the short. It ended up buying shares, so I ended up having to close that account, and I didn't notice it when it did it at first. It bought like new shares instead of buying to cover the shorts. I don't know what that was all about, but anyways, it's a little bit funky sometimes with this Thinkorswim paper money account. Sometimes it has a tendency to mess up. But overall, today, even with that mess up, which it was like a $67 loss, we still ended the day with almost $500 profit. So had that little slip up, whatever happened there, not have happened, we'd have been about $560 on the day. So would have been a good day. I'll get into the trades. What we were looking at. One of them was a rollover, or actually I think two of them were rollovers from Monday. I typically try not to stay in them past the market close, but I was pretty confident in these, so I went ahead and held them through until today, and they ended up working out pretty well. So let's get into them. One of the first ones that I was at was, I think, one of my bigger wins for today, and this is one of the ones that kind of messed up on me. But I think we ended up having like a $270 profit on this one. So you'll see I had it marked off down here where our entry wanted to be originally. What I ended up doing was shorting it somewhere in this area, and let me go to the 1 hour chart. So what I was looking for was a break through this area. And so once I got a break through this area and I saw that the next support was somewhere around here, I shorted it at around 23.59, something like that, somewhere right in this area. I ended up shorting it because that was when we ended up breaking through this previous support bounce area. So I ended up shorting it. I got out at 22.75 on one of them. And then like 22.50 on the next one. I went ahead and got out because we were starting to kind of get in that general area. So it ended up being a really good trade. But that was the reasoning behind that one, and why we shorted was we were looking originally to get a bounce off this area because I originally had it drawn out here. When I had the box drawn out, and then I saw it break through that and not seeing another decent support area. For a good ways down. That's why we decided to go ahead and short that one. Had a pretty good risk-reward ratio there on that one, so we ended up getting on that one. That ended up being one of our more profitable trades for the day. If I can see, I hate how it doesn't show today's like totals here. Why? I don't like that. Hold on. Let's pull. This shows a better view, I think. So let's give it a go. Yep, here we go. So yeah, it shows a $125 gain to today, but keep in mind we were up 185 from Monday, and we let it roll over into Wednesday to kind of get to our profit areas, but we were up 185 by the end of Monday, so it ended up rolling over, and total ended up being pretty decent. Where's the year today? This one doesn't have it. Ugh, why? Can we find it? Year. Year-to-date profit. Are we in here? Are we in here? Are we in here? not a real big fan of Thinkorswim, to be honest. It's not that it's horrible, but I'm not a huge fan of it so far. Just using it for the test environment for the time being. But anyways, that's what we ended up doing. You'll see where it did the little weird thing where it bought at 23.20. But overall, that one was a good one. We had a nice profit on Space today, so I'll pull up Space. Ended up with 170. Could have closed it out a little bit more. Could have closed it out closer to a little over 200. But we were trying to ride it a little further. We ended up not being able to and ended up getting out after raising our stop loss up. So let's pull Space up. I'll show you the thinking behind this one. I'm just not a huge fan of this, to be honest. Don't like how it's all laid out. Don't like the way it looks. I like their web app better than their actual app, which is sad. So yeah, we got into Space at 369. It was right, or was it 379? I think we got in at 379 actually. Let's see if I can pull it up today. When did we buy Space? Yeah, we got in at 379. So I'll show you the reasoning for why we got into that one when we did. So I was actually looking for it to maybe bounce a little bit lower originally. If we go back, we'll see this was a general area. So I was pretty confident in this, but if we go back a little bit further, we'll see it actually falls below. We're on a one-day timeline right now, so looks a little bit different. But yeah, we'll see it actually drops a little bit below just after this month. Like we had this area where it was holding quite a bit of support in this area, but we'll see like just the days before it was down close to this area. So originally I was kind of looking at this area, but I was keeping in mind this area right here and looking for a push back up. And so when we got this indecisive candlestick right here with the volume spike, I was pretty confident this was going to start moving back up, and we'll see. And another reasoning behind it, we'll see where it had that support here at this 368, bounce back up. Had this support at 368, bounce back up. Again, gets to right around that 368 mark. Got to 370 here, then we bounce it back up. So as soon as this one started going green, I was pretty confident, and so we ended up getting in at 379. Stop loss was going to be pretty small here. I think I set it at like 365 is where I set it. So we're risking about 14 cents. 14 cents a share with expectations to get at least 20 cents a share. So not the best ratio, but still in my general area of reward to risk ratio. So originally we were trying to sell out at 4 on half our shares, and we were going to try to hopefully maybe get a bounce up here. But after we got to 4 and we saw kind of this shooting star here, I did go ahead and move my stop loss from 365 up to 390, and we'll see. It kind of worked out. We may get a push back up at some point, but I was fine with closing out that trade, not going into the after hours. So again, that one was a pretty profitable one. We ended up averaging, sold 500 shares at $4, and then sold another 500 shares, I think at like 391 was what it sold at. So averaged close to about 16 cents a share on 1,000 shares. So I guess we actually averaged 17 cents a share since it was 170 profit. So yeah, we averaged 17 cents a share on that. Ended up coming out in our favor. That one worked out well. Let's see our next one. ALHC. This one was another decent one. ALKS. I'll pull up both of these. ALHC first. I got it on my watch list. I don't know why. So yeah, you'll see we had our box area drawn out here, and I'll kind of go back to the reasoning for why I had this box area drawn out. If we go all the way back to Slightly, it's a little more than 1 month ago, but this was a pretty decent support area. We've got this pullback here, we've got this pullback here. We see this pullback in the relatively same general area. So when I saw this one pull back from here, again, the risk reward ratio was pretty good there. So I think we got in at this one at 560, I believe. I waited pretty close to the end of this candlestick closing, knew that we were seeing this kind of bounce back off again, a strong pullback up. Got into this as it was getting close to close, and I saw it was going to go green. I will say on this one, the risk reward was pretty close because I got in so high at 560, I was risking to 545, so I'm risking 15 cents there. I think we ended up getting out at 575 at one point. We did hit up to 575. We got out on half our shares. Then we ended up selling out the rest of our shares at 570 as we were getting out towards market close. So about 12 cents a share on 1,000 shares again. So another decent trade. That was the reasoning for why we had in. We did get to our area. We saw kind of our indecision candlestick here. Yes, it's still kind of trending downwards, but we kind of have these wicks and your body's kind of sitting in the middle to kind of show there's a lot of indecision there. So we also have a little bit of a spike in volume in comparison. So once we saw this one really start to climb up and we're confident this one was going to close green, we were pretty confident we were going to at least be able to get at least 10 cents or so out of it. And the risk reward's not really exactly where we want it to be, but again, that one was one I was pretty confident we were at least going to get up to that 570 area, and so I thought it felt like it was a pretty easy trade to get a win on. So let's take a look at our next one, which was ALKS, which I believe ALKS was one we shorted as well. And as a matter of fact, I know it was because we broke through this area. So originally, we had drawn out something to try to get into this area. When we saw it break through this area, that's when we took our short position. I think I got in at 30.54, and I'll tell you why I was still confident to get in at 30.54, even though ideally we would have wanted to be in somewhere around like this, at least somewhere around this 375 to 380 mark. But the reason I was pretty confident is even getting in at 354, you'll see the next kind of area of support is all the way down here towards about 315-ish, 3015-ish, excuse me, which is right where we got to. And this is when we decided to, after we saw, this rejection here, again, rejection here going lower, again, very similar area rejection, very similar area rejection, very similar area rejection. That's when we had decided to get out of it. So we got out of it somewhere towards the end of market, somewhere between 1 and 2 o'clock. I wasn't comfortable that it was going to continue its downtrend, seeing that rejection. Even though it's still relatively tight, it's kind of consolidating, I wasn't comfortable staying in that one anymore. So went ahead and took the profit there, got out, happy with closing out on that one for the day. I think we ended up for ALKS, it was like a $130 trade or something like that. So let's check it out. ALKS, $124, yeah. So that was another decent trade that we had on. AMD, unfortunately, didn't really get what we wanted on AMD. Started pulling. We had a decent gain on it. At one point, we were a little over $100 on it. Thought we had some more room to go. We ended up not getting it as I realized it was going to kind of break out into the other direction, which it did. It ended up closing out at 113.85. I left my position at 115. So that was pretty much break even with where I had initially got in. You see we had a slight profit from where we initially got in. But I could tell it was downtrending in the opposite direction, so we went ahead and got out of that trade, and I can pull it up and kind of give you my reasoning for why we got out of this. So one of the main reasons we got out of this is we kind of had a trend line drawn here on both sides, kind of showing our range that we wanted to stay, that we were kind of expecting to stay in. Once we saw it break out of this range, and kind of break that trend, the upward trend, that's when we decided, okay, it's probably starting to go in the negative, in the opposite direction that we want to go. So we went ahead and exited our position, avoided taking any big losses there, especially with the other wins that we had for the day. Didn't want to take a loss on something that had broken the trend that we had going. So that was why we decided to get out, and ended up being a good thing. Yes, you see that it did at one point right at that's in the after hours actually, so it wouldn't have been, can't trade in the after hours on this account. So we made a good move. We got out. It didn't do anything but sink down. It's probably going to be in a downward trend for a little bit. Honestly, contemplating on shorting that one, but I'm probably not going to do it. Just because we're kind of we did break the trend line, but we're kind of in no man's land as far as where, yeah, we might end up getting a pullback down here, but and I don't know. I'm really thinking about it just because we got these strong rejections here, and we're starting to get into a downward trend. A lot of sellers holding that down at the moment, so we might think about it. We'll probably take a look at it tomorrow and see how we feel, but for now we'll probably stay away from it. I think there's probably going to be better opportunities that we can find. We already checked space out. We got TGTX, AMD. So yeah, these were pretty much, like I said, TGTX was one that rolled over. It was the only one that had rolled over on us. Again, this 67 is kind of a moot point. And then some of the profits it's not showing on today's because some of them were from the Monday when we ended up. So it shows less than what it realistically was. If I actually were to pull up the overall, it's like 642. So you'll see, since we restarted the account on Monday, you'll see that we're up 642 since that restart, which technically it should be like 710-ish. Actually 720-ish. Actually 720 exactly. Should be at 720 exactly. Had this little weird funky thing not happened with TGTX today. I've noticed it's happened a few times now. Really, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it. Sometimes it's annoying because it makes it a little bit messy when you come back to it, but it's not at the end of the world. But anyways, guys, those were our trades for today. It's been going really well. If you've been keeping up with my other videos, like we're going on almost 3 weeks now where our win rate is about 90% as of now. I think we've had about 22 trades altogether in the last 3 weeks, and we've only lost 2 of them. So we're a little over 90% on our win rate. It's been working out really well. So we're going to continue testing for a little bit longer. But I'm pretty certain I'm going to be taking a week off from work because I need to take a week off anyways. And during that week is probably when I'll go live on my actual account. We'll see. It's still up for debate on if I'm going to go live. If I do go live, it's probably going to be with probably only about $1,000. We're still going to run like the same ratio, and as far as like the percentages we're willing to put up, no more than 2% of the account value. Still going to go for the same risk-reward ratios, all that stuff. So nothing's really going to change besides the amount of capital that we're putting up front. So obviously, how much we win on the day will differ some. But percentage-wise, everything should be similar. And so that's what we're looking for. I do want to kind of start off slow when we switch over to the live account with my actual money and make sure that there's not any surprises going into the live market versus using the simulator. But so far, it's going good. I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty confident in how my strategies are working out, and my scanner on identifying good buys. It's been working out really well. So if you're interested, let me know. I'll eventually do a video on exactly how I set up my scanner. But I'm kind of holding off. Again, I want to see a little bit more long-term results before I start showing videos on setting up my scanner. I want to make sure I'm actually fully confident that the plan is working out and that we haven't had some kind of lucky streak for the last 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. And once we know and see consistent profit and go to the live market and we see consistent profit in the live market, that's probably when I'll do a video on my scanner. But until then, I'm kind of holding off. I don't want to waste people's time and give someone the wrong idea if it's not really going to be a system that works. But so far, so good. So anyways, guys, appreciate everyone stopping by. If you want to keep following me and seeing how the trades continue to go, just hit that subscribe button and we'll keep doing these videos. We'll probably continue to do them at least every other day. I'm trying to do them every night, but some nights, unfortunately, I'm not able to. But we'll do them as frequently as possible. So every other night at the very least. If we got to do some twofers, I'll split them up and set the dates into the videos. But anyways, guys, appreciate everyone stopping by, and we'll catch you next time.